Hey folks, welcome. This is a quick tournament preparation video for the I Can't Believe It's Not GenCon event that we're hosting locally. If you don't already know, GenCon is a large gaming convention down in Indianapolis, and it is the premier league of HeroScape. It's where the World Championship is held, and aside from ScapeCon, it's the biggest HeroScape event. That being said, I don't live anywhere remotely close to GenCon, and the size of the crowds that it attracts send shivers down my spine, so I have no intention of ever attending. But that being said, why don't we bring a little bit of GenCon here, up into Alberta, Canada? So the idea behind this event that we're hosting is to try to replicate the GenCon format as much as possible and play the games on the day of GenCon, or at least on one of the days. I know it's a multi-day thing there. But yeah, we're trying to set it up as best as we can, with some caveats, and I'll explain those as we get into it. But by and large, here's the format. We're looking at 460 points, 17-figure limit, and it is contemporary only. Now, here's where things get a little bit more dicey, I suppose, and I've got to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the format for GenCon this year. Not that it affects me at all, because, like I mentioned, I'm not going to be there, but it does affect my I Can't Believe It's Not GenCon event to some extent. What I mean is that there's a new wave of figures coming out. They were, I think, originally slated to come out somewhere in July, but it's been pushed back to August now. And they are tournament legal for this event. And I've got some issues with that. I realize it was probably a decision made back when it looked more likely that people would actually have these figures in their hands prior to the event. But now they've just kind of had to roll with the punches and say, well, you can pick up your figures at GenCon if you ship them through Renegade or whatever like that. But I mean, those are razor thin margins, and I don't really like the idea of a world event, or the world championship rather, being decided with figures that nobody has had the chance to play, on maps that nobody has been able to build. Now, you can proxy these things, of course, but I think that just further benefits the rich get richer. Like, the folks that spend more time preparing for tournaments are more likely to proxy figures to test them out, and so on and so forth. I just think the event would have been better served to have put the cutoff for, tournament legal figures back in Foreman's Thunder. I think, that's after we'd got those common waves and everything like that. I think that just makes more sense to me. There are going to be players at GenCon who have never physically played with the figures that they are running in their army on maps that they've never physically been able to build and practice on. And I don't know, that doesn't feel like a world championship to me. But like I said, my opinion on the matter is pretty worthless, as I'm not attending the event. I have no future plans to attend the event, so, take it all with a gallon of salt. I'm just a little frustrated because it messes with my own event here. So we had to make the command decision to basically say, no, the new figures are not going to be viable, or legal, I should say. So we put the cutoff at Foreman's Thunder, and our map pool is also smaller as a result, because we don't have the terrain, and therefore we cannot build the maps, so this is what we're working with. Essentially what that means is that this is a completely different format, because it has a different set of viable figures and a different map pool to play on. But it's pretty close. It's about as close as we can go without having to resort to proxies. And there's enough new players in our scene that proxies just, I don't want to go, that's a bridge I don't want to cross with them. They're still learning the rules of the game. It's better to, play with what's officially on the cards. They're still learning what is contemporary and what is not contemporary, right? So we want to throw, oh yeah, by the way, this figure represents this thing that I just wrote on a piece of paper, or whatever, right? So proxies can work for the more veteran players, I think, but for the relatively novice, I think we want to keep things with just the official product. I don't think it's too huge of a loss, though, because the Secrets of the Citadel stuff that's coming out in August, I don't think has a huge impact on what you're likely to see, because it's all unique figures. There's no common army cores there, and if you're prepping for GenCon, you're probably bringing a common army core of some kind. So while I think there's going to be a ton of Isamus and Blink Dawsons or whatever, I really think the common army cores you're going to see are going to be the Necrotech Reavers, the Cobra Troopers, the Chain Grets, like that sort of thing. So I'll talk about my thoughts leading up to this event in preparation for it. I definitely looked at a Chain Grets build. I think 3 copies of Chain Grets with Kane and 3 Ramasaur Riders is pretty tough. I think that's a good one. You could take out a couple of Ramasaurs and put in Tuck or Decker or something like that. Any of those options would work. For the Necrotech Reavers, I think 4 copies of the Common Squad, a couple of Common Heroes, doesn't really matter which ones you throw in there, and the Hellforge Manticore makes a lot of sense. That seems pretty strong too. But honestly, I have a suspicion the strongest build in this format will be Cobra Troopers ×3, Destro, and Serpentor. There aren't a ton of G.I. Joe Heroescape fans in my local area, so I don't think we're going to run into it here locally all that much, but I anticipate at Gen Con this will be a popular build. So obviously I'm not running a G.I. Joe army, so that one's out. The Reavers build didn't seem that interesting to me, so I kind of nixed that one too. I really seriously considered Chain Grets, because I played a bunch of games with this army against other builds, and it just kept winning. It was just winning a lot of games. However, I'm one of those annoying people that says that while winning can be fun, winning isn't always fun, and I just wasn't having a lot of fun with the Chain Grets, to be honest. It's kind of a dull army to play, at least for me, that's how I feel about it. I just, dumping all your order markers on the Chain Grets and just bonding your whole way through the game didn't leave me with a lot of interesting decisions to make. And to some extent, I'm also thinking about what would be entertaining to watch, because I'm also going to be making play-by-play videos like I do for these tournaments. And so I think that kind of factors into what I want to bring to the tournament, to the show, essentially, because I'm trying to show off some interesting or different builds. So I decided what I want to play is I want to play Vipers. I want to play the Rannoch Vipers. And I don't think this is a very good format for the Vipers. They don't have a good pairing with Maladrix. Just the point total and the figure limit, it just doesn't work out very nicely there. Maladrix actually has a good showing with the Great Bow Archers. You can do 3 copies of Great Bows plus Maladrix and Honor Garden. That's a pretty solid build there. But for the Vipers, it's like, well, what do you do with them? They're super cheap. You're going to hit that figure limit pretty quickly. So what I looked at was pairing them with Raylan 4.0. I tried a number of different builds, kind of focused around this core, one of which even included Roadblock from G.I. Joe. I know, I'm surprised too. However, I decided, I'm going to shoot that one down. I'm going to bring Halucia. Halucia's not a top tier figure or anything like that, but Halucia plus Kita, 4 squads of Rannoch Vipers, and Raylan 4.0, it's got some things, Raylan is so dependent on nailing those swoops, and the swoop rolls are actually a little bit tougher than you'd like them to be, I've found, at least in practice. I've actually played practice games where I've missed every single swoop, and you basically lose at that point. But she provides brilliant defense for the Rannoch Vipers. Because your opponent wants to get greedy because they know they can take out those Rannoch Vipers super quickly once they engage them. But Raylan's aura helps protect them in a way where your opponent might think, well, gee, I might take out a Rannoch Viper, but Raylan's going to swoop in and take out my more valuable figure. She's a deterrent, and I really like that in this army. I really like that about this army. So I think the play is you don't move Raylan with your order marker 1. I think that's a trap when you play Rannoch Vipers. Rannoch Vipers need height. They have to get to the high ground first, so you're dumping your order markers on the Rannoch Vipers to try to gain high ground, and then Raylan can move out of the start zone once you've kited your opponent into killing a Viper. Basically from there, you try to contest as much as you can, go for the hypnosis rolls when you have height and an opportunity to do some damage with them, and you try to take out as much as you can doing that. You're keeping your bluff order marker on Raylan, and sometimes you're swapping it out with a different numbered order marker to try to get some whirlwind value out of her. After all that's said and done, you still have Halucia and Kita to kind of come in and finish off the game. Now, Halucia is a good can opener. That 5 attack is really good. I think the Ride By special attack is a huge trap. It's been my experience that you just miss 3 times all of a sudden, you know? Well, it's just better to hit something and make sure it's dead. Like, hit something once, do a lot of damage, than to do 3 little tiny attacks. I mean, it depends on the figures you're fighting, but yeah, I usually try to avoid the Ride By. And then, I don't know, Kita's good. Like, Kita can't be shot from range, so that's nice. 4 defense is pretty good. Your only other option here is to go with Chana. And I considered Chana just because Chana is better at absorbing Wanek wounds. And Chana also flies, so that can help at the end of the game there. Chana heals? You know what? I'm kind of talking myself into Chana here. What is Kita doing that Chana isn't? Kita's faster. Kita can, well, but doesn't fly. Well, it's going to be one of those 2 familiars. I guess I'll make up my mind later. I hope it's going to be entertaining to watch. I like that this army has like stages to it, like kind of peeling an onion, you know, that sort of thing. So that'll be interesting. I don't think it's going to do especially well. I kind of plan to place somewhere in the middle of the pack again. Like I said, I don't think this is a top tier army. I think I would do better playing the Chain Gruts, but I'm going to have more fun playing the Rannoch Vipers, and having more fun is more important than winning to me. So that's my army. Wish me luck, and I'll be back in due time to produce the play-by-play videos, and I hope you enjoy them. Thanks for watching.